is everybody today? I'm doing well, I hope you are. Today we're going to do a front brake and rotor change on a 2018 Nissan Frontier. But before we hop into it, let's go check out some of the tools that we're going to need. Here we got brake pads. These are some Detroit Axle premium brake pads. We've got the part number right there. I'll put the link in the description. I got these off Amazon. This poor little box that came all disconfigured and everything else. Anyways, we'll need some brake cleaner, any type of brake cleaner. We'll keep your parts clean. You may not need some PB Blaster. Here in the mountains of North Carolina, I may need it. I don't think so, since my vehicle's still fairly new. It ain't too bad rusted. You may need a hammer. You may need a hammer to knock that sucker off. May not, who knows. If you need it, use it. All right, we got our socket wrench. Right here we have we got 3/4 inch socket, and then we've got a 14mm socket. I'm going to be using some gloves so we don't get our pretty little hands all nasty and dirty. And then we've got a few torque wrenches right here that we're going to end up having to use to torque them down to specific specs. But yeah, anyways, that's all I think we're going to need today. Let's hop on into it. All right, before we get started, I'm going to loosen up the lug nuts on this sucker so it'll be easier to take off. My wheel won't spin. And once you have your tire off, you're going to be looking at something like this. This is your rotor. This is your caliper. Behind your caliper back here, you've got 2 bolts, one up here, one down here. You're going to be using a 14mm to get her loose. Let's see if we can't go the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on before I start getting too nasty. All right. So we have this bolt broken loose up here. As you see, looks like that. Make sure you place your bolts in a certain area that you know where they're going to go back to, and you can find them. It's one thing about doing this stuff, if you're a shade tree guy like me, do it yourselfer, you always want to have your parts labeled and or set aside somewhere where you know what it is. And there's the other one. Once you have your bolts out, you can take your caliper here, and you're going to want to put it somewhere where you won't damage this hose. You need this hose. This hose is very important. So what I think we might do, you go ahead and put it back on here for the moment. You get me a strap. This will work for me. May not work for you. But I just use a little strap. A little bungee cord, that's all. Alright, that leaves you with something like this. A lot of times you can just kind of pull your brake out without doing much finagling. This one you might have to. Nope. They're a little worn. Not bad, but they're a little damaged. We'll take this back one off. My main concern is this rotor. This rotor has been having some noises coming from it that just do not sound good at all. Now, we're going to move on. I use my 3/4. I'm going to put it back here, back behind this bracket where our caliper was connected to. Voila, our bracket. We'll take these little metal clips out of here. As we got some other ones around. And I'm just going to take my wire brush and I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. It really doesn't need much cleaning. It's just me. All right. We've got our caliper bracket. Now our rotor. The rotor should come straight off. Like that. Take a look. And this is what you'll be looking at right here. This is your hub. We're going to go pick up the other one, the other rotor, and get her set up on here. This is our new rotor. I'm actually going to take this rotor and put it on backwards at first. And the reason why is I'm going to spray it down with some brake cleaner to get her good and clean. We'll hit my caliper also. Let that dry just for a moment. I'll take it. Now we're going to flip it around. Voila. A little more brake cleaner. All right. Now that she's clean, we're going to take our premium brake pads. And we're going to take our clips right here. Now, we're going to take a bracket right here. We're going to place a silver bracket in there. While we're doing this, we're going to go ahead and hook this back in, just so it's one less piece that we've got to worry about jumping around on us. And you're going to make sure when you're putting that bolt back in that you kind of get it threaded by hand and you do not get it cross threaded, or you will be screwed. Now that we've got it somewhat in there, let's crank her down. Our clip is in place. I'm going to take these brake pads. This one will go in the back. It's right here. It's used for making noise whenever your brake pad gets low. But I am going to put a little grease on the tips of my brake. Like that, you slide it in and the back one's in. I'm going to take this front one, I'm going to slide it in right here. Like that, your brakes pads are on. I've rubbed a little bit of grease on the outside of these pads just to help keep from the friction off. Now, what we're going to do, take that brake caliper and put it on here. But first, we're going to give her one more spray down with some brake cleaner. Actually, I'm just kidding. We got to put in these hooky doos right here. And these things are not hard. There's little holes at the top of both brakes, and they just kind of sit in there. All right, one more spray down. She's good and clean. And whenever you've got your caliper bracket put on, make sure that your bolts back here are torqued down to 185 pounds. Now we're going to move up here. We're going to take our caliper that we've been hanging out. And we've got our caliper pushed back a tad. We'll see if it'll fit on here. All right, when we get our caliper up here, we'll take these smaller ones, put them back in where they go. Now all that's left is put on your tire. Make sure you torque down your lug nuts. You'll be good to go. That's it. You're done. Remember, I can do this. You can do this. Y'all take care.